Recording? Oh, there we go.
Okay. Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Dick's Sporting Goods Foundation Game On Community Places to Play Initiative webinar. Thank you for joining us today. Program Officer with LISC Sports and Recreation Department, and I will be one of your hosts today. Next slide. So everyone has been muted. Please stay muted so that we could get through the webinar without any interruptions. Any questions you have along the way, feel free to put them in the Q&A chat below, and we will get to your questions at the end during our Q&A session. Next slide. Okay, availability of funding. So this program offers matching grants of $50,000 to $100,000. The grants range from $50,000 to $100,000 and can be used towards the cost of building or refurbishing a sport court facility or athletic field, whose main usage will be for organized sports such as, but not limited to, basketball, baseball, softball, soccer, football, tennis, lacrosse, and volleyball. The awards will be granted in neighborhoods located within the program's target markets and will be chosen on need and potential impact in the local community. Also, special consideration will be given to proposals that demonstrate how their capital projects will support youth development programming. Youth development program services could include, but not limited to, life skill workshops, civic engagement and leadership, workforce development, and academic support. Next slide. Organizational eligibility criteria. So to qualify for funding, organizations must be a community-based organization, an elementary, middle, or high school, serving a neighborhood consisting primarily of low to moderate income families and individuals. You must also have at least one full-time paid staff member, so all volunteer organizations are not eligible to apply and will not be considered. Your organization must be in existence for at least 3 years, have a proven track record in real estate development and/or youth recreational programming. Your organization must have a 501c3 tax-exempt status or have a school status, and your organization must be located within the program's target markets. Next slide. So what are the target markets? So again, only organizations serving communities in low to moderate income areas within the following target markets are eligible to apply and will be considered for funding. Those target markets include Atlanta, Georgia, Boston, Massachusetts, Charlotte, North Carolina, Chicago, Illinois, Houston, Texas, Los Angeles, California, Miami, Florida, New York City, New York, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and Raleigh, Durham, North Carolina. Application procedures. Please note that use of the Dick's Sporting Goods Foundation logo or LISC's logo is expressly prohibited, so please do not use our logos or Dick's Sporting Goods logos in any of your documents. So your proposals must include a cover sheet. On your cover sheet, you should include your organization's name, address, phone number, the contact person for the application, email address, and the address of the project. We should also list the executive director and contact person if different for the application. Please include a brief description of your proposed project and also include the amount of funding you are requesting from the program. You should also include a narrative. The narrative should not exceed 5 pages and should include a brief history of your organization and your partners, description of the project, including your project's budget and your project's timeline, and also include information on the impact the project will have in the community, such as the programming that will take place within your project and the number of youth that will utilize your project once completed. Next slide. Next slide, we will discuss the selection criteria, and I will pass it over to Onedo.
Thank you, Crystal, and welcome everyone. So we'll start off by talking about the feasibility of the project. So are the budgets realistic? Are you asking for, enough money to help cover any existing budget gap that may exist in your project proposal? Are there any site control or environmental issues? This, may include things like kind of any environmental permits or anything that you would need to gain approval of in order to be able to build. And this is also consistent with the next point, which does the project need to be approved by any other parties? Who's the landowner of that specific site proposal? A dollar for dollar match minimally is required at all levels of funding. So for example, let's say if you were requesting $50,000 in your proposal, you have to make sure that you have $50,000 of matching funds. How much of the matching funds is currently in hand? So how much of that funding do you have currently? You may have the full amount, right? Or you may have, half of that in the form of, the cash amount, and then you may have the other half in terms of an in-kind donation. And that kind of takes us to this next point. In-kind donations are eligible. So what qualifies as an in-kind donation? This may be a kind of non-monetary donation made to your organization, possibly by a contractor in the form of materials that are donated and or possibly labor as well. And we can get more into it as we answer your questions later on, but we wanted to kind of cover these just to kind of give you a sense of what are the types of considerations you want to make sure as you're talking about the feasibility of your project. Next slide, please. So project readiness. What is the timeline for the project for the sport court facility or athletic field? We want to get a sense of, how many months will it take for you, to get this done? Is your project, shovel ready? Are you, expecting, a few months of like pre-development before you get started on the actual project? That's something we would like to know about. Can the project be completed within 12 months from the funding date? So as an example, let's say you were to be awarded and your grant contract started January, 1st of 2026. Would that project be, this is a hypothetical, would that project be done before the end of 2026? Does the project interfere with existing programming? In some cases, as folks may know, with renovations, you have to kind of stop ongoing programming in order to renovate an existing site or facility. And so we would actually, want to know if that's happening, right? It might be a minor interference, right? But definitely speak to that because that will affect project readiness as well. And then another kind of consideration is management capacity. So does the organization have the necessary resources to complete the project efficiently and effectively? Who is going to manage this project? How many full-time staff, do you have and what is their experience? This question, I think, is really to get you to think about who on your team or who, you might want to like partner up with that might actually help you, manage this project. Who's like going to be the project manager? Who's going to be coordinating the various components to make sure that the project gets completed. Next slide. Neighborhood impact. Does the project meet the low to moderate income requirements? This is something that we will absolutely be looking very closely at. Who are the primary users of the sport court facility or the athletic field? This is, I think, speaking to, the community, the students, anybody who is using the field. And definitely, I think the first priority that we want to learn about is the youth and the families that use this community. But if adults also use that, the space, definitely speak to that as well. Give us a sense of who is completely, who is using this space. Will the community at large have access to the sport facility or the athletic field? This is, I think, also just of an important kind of framing question. This will kind of help us understand kind of how many folks or how many youth are using the field and have access to the field. And I think there's some slides later down that speak a little bit more to access, but this is just something that you'll definitely want to talk about in your proposal. Proposals must include memorandums of understanding or joint use agreements and joint use agreements between grantee and community partners. So you may have a site in which you have other kind of community partners. I'll give you an example, like a soccer club that runs programming on the site. If you have any kind of agreements with that group that speak towards the programming that happens on, the proposed site. We definitely want to see that. And we'll go to the next slide. Uh, when we'll kind of touch on that in one of the future slides, but future maintenance and safety. This is also very important. Who will maintain the sport court or athletic facility or athletic field? Who will supervise the programming of the sport court facility or the athletic field? Is there a funding stream in place to support ongoing maintenance? Are there, potential safety issues such as lighting or controlled access, addressed? And I think, to kind of speak broadly to this, like we want to kind of get a general sense of, will the field or the facility, continue to be maintained after, it's built. I think we want to know kind of what that looks like. And additionally, just like safety considerations, how are you going to ensure that this space is, safe for the users, right, who are accessing this site? So definitely speak to that in your proposals as well. Next slide. Recreational programming. Is there existing programming on the sport court facility or athletic field? Are there usage agreements in place for multiple leagues or users? Who is providing this programming? Are there existing funding streams, right, that continue to support ongoing programming? How many youth and adults currently participate in the programs? So kind of to come back to this point, we definitely want to get a good snapshot of, all the different entities that may be using the field, how they're supporting ongoing programming. I think this will definitely just help us get a broader sense of, the usage of the field and all the programming that's going on. Next slide. Partnership building. So definitely you will have the opportunity to, at different points in your proposal to speak to different, partnership types. And we'll kind of address what that can look like in the project attachment slide. But just to kind of get you thinking, as you kind of highlight different partners in your proposal, funding partners versus program partners, some folks may be, providing you with monetary, or in-kind donations for your proposals. Others may be supporting you, not necessarily monetarily for this specific project, but they may be supporting, ongoing programming. Government agencies and local officials, maybe you will, solicit the help of the your local government. If you happen to be working on, a public site, you may want to get, well, you will definitely get, approval from them that a project can happen on that proposed site. And also just general letters of support are always welcome from public officials. Additionally, community-based organizations may be organizations that don't necessarily, they may provide support for, programming on the field, but they may just be kind of prominent organizations in your community that can speak to the good work that you do. So definitely make sure that if you have those, definitely include that. And then just business leaders as well is always welcome. This can be, again, these business leaders may be, providing you monetary support, but they also might just be giving you letters of support, again, speaking to the great work that you do. So next slide. So we're going to start talking about both project attachments and organizational attachments. So you want to make sure that you include your two most recent audited financial statements, preferably annual statements for 2022 and 2023, your most recent IRS 990 form, preferably 2023, current list of organizations board of directors, so your board of directors and their contact information, the current list, just like a basic list of the youth sports organizations / activities utilizing the sport court facility or athletic field, your IRS W-9 form, and your IRS 501c3 tax determination letter. And so we'll speak to project attachments. And so we kind of covered the kind of why of a lot of these points, but I think it's worth repeating kind of what this will look like in terms of what you need to submit. So your project budget for the renovation / construction of the sports space, any financing commitment letters from match funding sources, financial commitment letters and detailed maintenance plans from organizations responsible for the field maintenance, landscaping or park designs, environmental reports if necessary, agreements and budgets for recreational programming, i.e. youth basketball, soccer, tennis, letters of support from court users or other community organizations, and contact information for the youth organizations and local school programs scheduled to utilize the facility. Next slide. So we'll address the timeline, which is that proposals are due by August 29th to 2025 at 11:59 Eastern Standard Time. Please read the complete RFP before submitting the proposal, and make sure to email your submissions to sportsandrec@lisc.org. Please do not, please do send the proposals as a PDF attachment and include any required documents as per the RFP. Do not send the proposal in the body of the email. We will not accept that. And please list the title, please title the attachment with the organization and project name. Next slide. And so this is the LISC Sports and Rec contact list. We have the whole team listed out here, and you can feel free to email any one of us, or if you have a kind of more general inquiry, we also have our general sports and recreation email just down there. And so I'll just give folks a moment to take a snapshot of this. It's also worth saying that this presentation will be shared with everybody who attended today along with the recording. But sometimes folks like to take just a picture to have that kind of more easily available. And so if you haven't already, don't worry, you will be receiving this. We will be transitioning over to the next slide, which is our Q&A. So I already see some folks have submitted questions and answers in the question and answer box, which is great. And I'll hand it over to our Vice President, Beverly Smith, so she can help you out with the Q&A. Thank you. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you. So one of the questions I see is, do the target markets include the metro area or the city only? The target markets, we tend to say that we can extend maximally 20 miles outside of the inner city. So that if it's a suburb within 20 miles, we can certainly consider that area. Next question is, are parks and recreation departments eligible? We would say yes, but you need to partner with a nonprofit or have a nonprofit on, like if you have a Parks and Rec Foundation, you would need to apply through your Parks and Rec Foundation. If you do not have a separate 501c3, then we would recommend that you partner with a local nonprofit who would function as the fiscal agent. Next question. What metrics do you use for determining low to moderate income? Typically, we look at the public schools, what a percentage of students and youth qualify for free or reduced lunch. And we would say anywhere from up to 30%. If your area services at minimally 30% of youth that qualify for free or reduced lunch, 30% or more, then we would say that qualifies. Let me see if I'm missing. It says, my organization is a capital projects-based nonprofit that creates and improves park and public green space. We do not have any programming or wraparound services. Would we be eligible? No. Unless you have a memorandum of understanding, the nonprofit that you're actually working with would have to be the one who applies to the program and would be considered for eligibility. It says, do the target markets change each year? No, this is our third year. And for the first few years, we were nationwide. And this is the first year that Dick's Sporting Goods has limited us to the markets that we're in. So that I don't know that if there is another round, if the markets will change. As of now, we really don't know that. The next question I see is, how does it work with two organizations applying jointly? Does one need to be the lead? Both are nonprofits. Yeah, one needs to be the lead, and we need to specifically know who is going to be the fiscal conduit and who's going to manage. And we would also need to see a memorandum of understanding between both the nonprofits that are jointly applying, and that really outlines what the specific what the specific duties of each of the nonprofits will be in facilitating the project going forward. I see a question that says, the organization I am working with is starting to conduct financial audits for 2024 and moving forward. Can they submit these along with the 990's financial statements for prior years and be eligible? Yes, but as you saw earlier, Onito mentioned that we understand that a lot of nonprofits have not gotten through their 2024 audited financials. And so minimally, we would like to see 2023. But yes, if you have 2024, please send them to us. We would want to see that. I see a question. We are the nonprofit, but what I understand is that the lead applicant must have programming. Is that correct? Yes, we are funding, you know, we want to know that there is programming. So who is conducting the programming, who is facilitating it and overseeing it, along with the actual construction on the fields or courts. We need to see all of that, and those applications that demonstrate programming are the ones that are going to score the highest. Are there any more questions or thoughts? Oh, I see one more. To clarify, the organization was not required to have financial audited statements before 2024. Okay, but we need to see that. And we definitely need to know if they weren't required to have that. That needs to be outlined and in your proposal, and what the financials were before then. It says, can the match funds come from the organization itself? Yes, but you have to demonstrate that you have the match funding. And just to be clear about the match funding, we require a dollar-for-dollar match minimally, but those proposals that demonstrate that they have the funding in place to complete the project within the project timeframe, which from our end, if you are selected and a grant agreement is issued, you would have 12 months to complete the project. Those projects that have the majority of the funding in place, and as Onito said earlier, are shovel ready and ready to go, are the ones that will score higher and be considered. Let's see. I think we answered that. Don't see any more questions.
I see a hand raised. Miss Martin, can you put your question in the Q&A, and then we'll address it that way? Oh, maybe that was a mistake. Okay.
Okay. So yes, we look forward to seeing your applications and appreciate the work that you all are doing on the grounds and community for safe places for youth and families and communities to have access to. And so, as we said, if you have additional questions, please reach out to us. The slides will be sent to you. The recording will be sent to all the participants on this webinar. Basically, so there's, just for clarity, the physical work that'll be done on the play spaces that you're doing, and then we want to know about the programming specifically as it relates to youth. And if you can include, if there are any other needs that the groups that are using the field may have. Do they need equipment? Do they need training or anything like that? If you can just capture that in your proposal as well, because we would want to look at that to see if there are other resources that can be put toward not only not just for the funding that you're getting to do the actual physical space, but for the groups that actually use the space. So thank you all. Reach out to us if you have additional questions. This will go out by tomorrow. Everyone should receive this. And we look forward to seeing your proposals. And thank you for all of the work that you do.